Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm meadsyreplays. Welcome back to the channel. Now, who remembers when this tank right here was introduced into the game? Now, of course, we are talking about the Object 252U. Now, when this tank was first introduced, it was always considered overpowered. Like, it was mega overpowered. Now, how times can change, because this tank is no longer considered overpowered. In fact, it's probably not even considered an amazing tank. It's okay at best. Like, honestly, it is okay at best. And things change, you know, times change. There's, you know, different buffs, there's different nerfs, and then there just becomes a tank like this that kind of sort of gets left. So it's kind of a tank that used to be very good, and now is still played. The tank is still played, but nowhere near as often as it once was, and nowhere near the same sort of way as it used to be played. So the stat wise are still pretty strong on the tank. Now, it has a tier 9 gun for a start, and your turret armor is 250 millimeters. Now, for a tier 8 tank, your turret is still very strong. Your hull is 130. However, you do have that pike nose, so yeah, you can get the armor, but if you angle wrong, then you can sort of be all over the place and be penned. And the bottom plate is kind of weak as well. Now, your DPM 1796, kind of standard really for a tank of this caliber. That is a 14-second reload, and your penetration is 243 on your AP and 278 on your APCR. 73 on your HE, which, you know, is not bad. HE pen at 73. You've got a 420 alpha gun, 360 on your APCR, and 500 on your HE. Your aim time, of course, again, it is bad for what the tank is, 5.4, and the same as the gun dispersion at 0.398. So both of them are really bad. You do only have 6 degrees of gun depression with a top speed of 35 kilometers per hour. So yeah, I absolutely love this tank. When this tank was first released, honestly, I really loved it. I don't think too much of the camouflage that it holds as well. I think actually it could look better. And it could be better. I hate the look of this camouflage, if I'm honest. And, you know, it could have better provisions or better consumables. I think the tungsten shells would do really nice in this tank, or even maybe the extra speed boost. I don't know. But, you know, it is one of those tanks that, again, is still played. It is still played, but nowhere near to the caliber of what it used to be. It's not a tank that people are frightened of now, where it used to be like, you see, when this tank was first released, you see an Object 252U on the enemy team and you're like, oh, for fuck's sake, let's kill him first, because it doesn't matter how bad the player is, let's kill him first, because, you know, that tank is very much overpowered. And it's, I say it's a good thing in a way, but there are still some overpowered tanks in tier 8 especially. But you know, the meta changes, and we all know that. We know that the meta changes. Sometimes it's sort of heavy meta, sometimes it's medium meta, and sometimes it's sort of tank destroyer meta, and we get that the meta changes from time to time. And, you know, this was one of those that it was the meta back in the day that sadly it's not the same meta anymore. And, you know, it is what it is. But people still play the tank. They do still play the tank. But, you know, you ask anybody that plays the tank now if the tank is just as good as it used to be back in the day. Like, I don't think there will be a single person that says it's better or it's the same as it used to be. when it comes to tier 8, we get there's loads of tier 8s. Tier 8 is like the tier of Blitz. It always has been. It's the premium tier of Blitz. And this like topped everything at the time of release. Like honestly, this was, you look at some of the other tier 8s and this was like the thing. This was honestly, this was the tank to get back in the day. And we're also looking at a time where there wasn't really any crates as well, so you could pick it up for gold, and it was very easy to pick it up. You know, you spend sort of 9,000-10,000 gold, and the tank was yours. You didn't have to gamble for it in any way. You didn't have to hope to get it in crates, not like it is now. It was a gold tank that you can get for gold. Yeah, so there is still, you know, you can still have good games. I'm not saying it's a poor tank. I'm nowhere near saying it's a poor tank, but it's just nowhere near as it used to be. And you can see that here. I know I'm not sort of in the right positions, etc. But I'm a one-shot right now, and I have bounced absolutely nothing. And again, that's not so much the tank. A lot of that is probably me, but when this tank was first around, like, you could bounce all day long. You could bounce and you didn't even want to bounce, you know. You could give them a shot, give them a free shot. Come on, shoot me. And they would still bounce. As long as you kind of hit the lower part of the tank, then you would get bounces in this thing without even trying. It's a typical IS tank, you know, IS-7s, IS-8s, all these tanks are kind of like tanks that could bounce anything, even if you didn't even try to bounce them. And again, it still has its uses when it comes to tier 8, because if you play it in sort of tournaments, things like that, ratings, it is still a good tank for ratings. It really is. And again, tournaments, you'll see if you do play tier 8 tournaments. I don't play any tournaments now, and I don't really see them, to be fair. So I don't know if it's changed, but when I did used to play quite a bit of tournaments, this was one of those tanks that you would always see, along with things like now, like the Action X is seen a lot, and a couple of tank destroyers as well. And this, again, you'd always see this, and maybe even a couple of them you would see. So yes, it is a shame that tanks like this just kind of fall without even meaning to. Like, Wargaming haven't really sort of looked at the tank and thought, you know what, we need to nerf this. They haven't really touched it. The biggest downfall with this tank really is time. You know, time goes on, new tanks come out, and they're just sort of better. They're better and they're more fun, you know. Some tanks in tier 8 are probably not as good as the Object 252U, but they are more fun to play. And you know, at the end of the day, it is a game, and we all want to have fun, and the Object isn't as fun as it used to be. So let me know what you think of the Object 252U, because at one point this was one of my favorite tier 8s in the game, and now nowhere near even makes it into my top 10, maybe even my top 20. So let me know what you think of the 252U. Do you still think it's an OP tank? Do you remember when it was first released? Was you around when it was first released? And the heartache of seeing it on the enemy team. Let me know if you remember those days. But for now, hope you enjoyed today's video. I'm meadsy69, and I will catch you all soon. Bye bye.